Have you ever noticed how some seniors seem to radiate vitality and energy while living on modest means, while others with comfortable bank accounts struggle to find joy in their golden years? The answer might surprise you because it has almost nothing to do with money and everything to do with six simple habits that anyone can start practicing today. Let me tell you about George. He's 76 years old, living alone on Social Security after losing his wife 3 years ago. When I first met him at the community centre, I expected to find someone weighed down by grief and financial worry. Instead, I found a man who greeted me with a genuine smile and seemed more content than people half his age with twice his income. When I asked him his secret, he pulled out a small, worn notebook from his jacket pocket. Every morning, before his feet even touch the floor, George writes down 3 things he's grateful for. Some days it's the warmth of his blanket. Other days it's the neighbour who waved hello or the cardinal he saw at his bird feeder. This isn't just feel-good advice. Research from the University of California found that people who regularly practice gratitude experience measurably higher levels of happiness and lower levels of stress. Their brains actually begin to rewire themselves to notice positive aspects of life more readily. George didn't need a therapist or expensive medication to feel better about his circumstances. He simply needed a dollar notebook and 5 minutes each morning to shift his perspective from what he'd lost to what he still had. The beauty of gratitude is that it costs absolutely nothing, yet its returns are immeasurable. When you focus on appreciation rather than deprivation, your entire outlook transforms. The morning coffee tastes richer. The sunshine feels warmer. Even challenges become more manageable, because you're building emotional resilience with each acknowledgement of life's small blessings. George told me that some mornings he struggles to find 3 things, but forcing himself to look for them has trained his mind to seek out the good even on difficult days. Now let me introduce you to Margaret, who at 82 understood something that took me years to learn. She realized that the most valuable currency in retirement isn't money at all, but connection. After her husband passed and her children moved to other states, Margaret found herself eating dinner alone night after night in her small apartment. She could have resigned herself to isolation like so many seniors do, but instead she decided to become the social architect of her building. She started by simply knocking on doors and introducing herself. She organized a weekly coffee gathering in the common room where neighbors could chat and share stories. She volunteered at the local library, reading to children, which connected her with young families. She joined a walking group at the park that met 3 mornings a week. Within 6 months, Margaret's life looked completely different. Not because her finances changed, but because her social world expanded dramatically. The Harvard study of adult development, one of the longest-running studies on happiness, reached a clear conclusion after tracking people for over 80 years. Strong relationships are the single greatest predictor of happiness and health in our later years, far more than wealth, fame, or social class. The study found that people who were more socially connected to family, friends, and community were happier, physically healthier, and lived longer than people who were less well connected. Margaret didn't need expensive club memberships or lavish entertainment budgets. She needed what we all need: to feel seen, heard, and valued by others. Building community can start with something as simple as learning your neighbor's name, attending a free event at your local senior center, or joining a group that shares your interests. The investment is your time and openness, and the return is immeasurable richness in your daily life. This brings me to Harold, 74, who taught me that joy doesn't require a budget at all. Harold's pension barely covers his basic expenses, yet when I asked him about his typical day, his eyes lit up as he described a life full of simple pleasures. His morning starts with a walk through his neighborhood, noticing seasonal changes in gardens and greeting other early risers. He tends a small vegetable garden in the community plot, watching seeds transform into food through patient care. He visits the library weekly, checking out books that transport him to different worlds and eras. He sits on his porch in the evening, listening to the neighborhood sounds and watching the sky change colors. Harold reminded me that our consumer culture has trained us to believe that happiness requires constant purchasing, but humans have found joy in simple, accessible activities for thousands of years. Walking costs nothing but provides exercise, fresh air, mental stimulation, and opportunities for chance encounters. Public libraries offer unlimited free entertainment, education, and air-conditioned spaces. Parks provide beauty and community gathering spaces. Local community centers host free or low-cost classes and events. The key is shifting from a mindset of "I can't afford to do anything" to "What free or low-cost activities bring me genuine pleasure?" Maybe it's bird watching from your window, listening to free music at the library, taking photographs with your phone, writing letters to distant friends, or learning to draw through free online tutorials. These activities engage your mind, provide a sense of accomplishment, and fill your days with purpose without depleting your bank account. Helen, 70, practices a different but equally important habit that separates financially stressed seniors from financially peaceful ones. She doesn't necessarily have more money, but she has a completely different relationship with the money she does have. Helen tracks every expense in a small notebook, not from a place of anxiety, but from a desire for clarity. She knows exactly where her money goes each month, which allows her to make intentional choices, rather than reaching the end of the month wondering where it all went. But Helen's wisdom goes beyond simple budgeting. She's learned to distinguish between frugality driven by fear and spending guided by values. She clips coupons and shops sales, but she also invests in quality items that will last rather than cheap versions that need frequent replacement. She prioritizes experiences that bring genuine joy, like monthly lunch with friends or tickets to local theatre productions, while cutting expenses on things that don't truly matter to her. This purposeful approach to spending reduces financial stress dramatically. When you know your money is aligned with your values and needs, each dollar spent feels good, rather than guilt-inducing. Helen told me she actually enjoys managing her modest income now because she feels empowered rather than victimized by her financial circumstances. She's turned budgeting from a restrictive chore into a tool for creating the life she wants within her means. Let me tell you about Carl, 80 years old, who embodies the fifth habit that keeps seniors mentally sharp and emotionally vibrant. Despite living on limited retirement income, Carl decided last year to learn Spanish. He found a free community class at the local college and now attends twice weekly. His vocabulary is growing slowly but steadily, and more importantly, his mind is engaged in ways it hasn't been in years. Lifelong learning isn't about becoming an expert or earning credentials at this stage of life. It's about keeping your brain active, maintaining curiosity about the world, and proving to yourself that growth is always possible. When you learn something new, you build new neural pathways, increase cognitive reserve, and potentially ward off cognitive decline. But beyond the health benefits, learning provides structure to your days, opportunities to meet people, and a sense of accomplishment. The resources for learning have never been more accessible. Libraries offer free classes on everything from technology to cooking. Community colleges provide low-cost or free courses for seniors. Online platforms like YouTube offer tutorials on virtually any subject imaginable. Senior centers host educational programs. The barrier isn't usually cost, but rather the belief that we're too old to learn, or that learning is only valuable if it serves a practical purpose. Carl's Spanish skills may never become fluent, but that's not the point. The point is that twice a week he walks into that classroom as a student, open and curious, engaged with the challenge of new grammar rules and vocabulary. He practices with his classmates over coffee, after class. He feels his brain working in ways that watching television simply doesn't provide. He's investing in his cognitive health and his sense of possibility, and that investment costs him nothing but time and openness. Finally, let me introduce you to Ruth, 78, who discovered what research has consistently shown. Serving others may be the most powerful path to personal happiness. Ruth volunteers at a local food pantry 2 mornings a week, organizing donations and greeting clients with warmth. She also knits blankets for babies in the neonatal intensive care unit. During holidays, she helps coordinate community meals for isolated seniors. Ruth lives on a tight budget herself, but she's discovered that giving back isn't about having excess resources to share. It's about contributing your time, skills, and compassion to make someone else's day a little brighter. When she hands a family their groceries at the pantry, when she sees a premature baby wrapped in a blanket she made, when she watches lonely seniors laughing together at the holiday meal, Ruth feels a sense of purpose that no amount of personal consumption could provide. Studies show that Volunteering improves emotional well-being, provides a sense of meaning, and is even associated with better physical health and longevity. When we help others, our brains release chemicals that make us feel good. We gain perspective on our own challenges. We feel valued and useful. We connect with community in meaningful ways. All of this happens without spending a dime. The opportunities to serve are everywhere. Food banks need volunteers. Schools welcome reading tutors. Animal shelters need people to socialize pets. Parks need maintenance help. Hospitals need friendly visitors. Non-profit organizations need administrative support. You don't need special training or significant time commitments. Even a few hours a month can make a meaningful difference in others' lives while profoundly enriching your own. These 6 habits, practicing gratitude, building community, embracing simple pleasures, spending purposefully, staying curious, and serving others, form a framework for living well regardless of your financial circumstances. Notice that none of them require significant money. All of them require intention, openness, and a willingness to shift perspective from scarcity to abundance. The seniors I've introduced you to didn't stumble into these habits by accident. Each made a conscious choice to focus on what they could control, rather than what they couldn't. They redirected their energy from worrying about money to cultivating richness in other forms. They proved that happiness in your later years isn't primarily a financial equation, but a daily practice of choosing connection over isolation, gratitude over resentment, purpose over aimlessness, and generosity over self-focus. If you're living on a limited income and feeling discouraged about your ability to enjoy these years, I want you to know it's never too late to adopt these habits. Start with just one. Maybe tomorrow morning you'll write down 3 things you're grateful for before getting out of bed. Maybe this week you'll introduce yourself to a neighbor you've never spoken to. Maybe you'll visit your local library and check out a book on a subject you've always wanted to explore. Maybe you'll call a local volunteer organization and offer a few hours of your time. Small actions compound into transformed lives. George didn't become content overnight. Margaret built her community one conversation at a time. Harold gradually filled his days with simple pleasures. Helen slowly gained clarity about her finances. Carl attended class by class. Ruth served one family at a time. Each small choice in the direction of these habits moved them toward lives rich in meaning, connection, and joy despite modest bank accounts. Your challenge today is to choose one of these 6 habits and take one small action toward incorporating it into your life. Write it down. Tell someone about your intention. Mark it on your calendar. Then tomorrow, do it again. Within weeks, you'll notice shifts in your mood, your energy, and your outlook. Within months, your life may look dramatically different, not because your financial situation changed, but because you changed your relationship with what truly matters. If you found this helpful and want more practical guidance on living well during your senior years, subscribe to this channel and click the notification bell so you never miss our weekly videos on health, happiness, and making the most of this precious stage of life. Share this video with someone who might benefit from this message. Leave a comment telling me which of these 6 habits resonates most with you, or which one you're committing to practice starting today. Remember, the best years of your life aren't behind you. They're being created right now through the choices you make each day. Make them count.